Hey everyone, my name's Tom. I'm the owner of Histobrick. I'm the one who also designs all of the kits. In this video, we're going to be going over the Histobrick RMS Carpathia. So the RMS Carpathia, for those of you who don't know, it was built in 1901 by Hunter Swan, Wigham, and Richardson. The same company that actually built the RMS Mauretania. I'm sure they built others, but that's the one I know. And we also made a kit of the Mauretania I'll be doing a review on in the near future. Anyway, the Carpathia was named after the Carpathian Mountains in Central Europe. So this is a Histobrick kit. When you order the Carpathia, this is what it will come as. So we can open it up. It's got this box sleeve right there, some information on it. We can put that aside. And then we have this bamboo box. This is a genuine bamboo box. Taking a look at this, we can open it up. And inside we have all of the pieces. We have to hand sort all of these. It's a real pain, but it's really cool to be able to create these kits because people love them, and I also like designing them. It's pretty fun. And then we have an instruction booklet. This is a very high quality instruction booklet. I work with a local print shop. We collaborate with them to make really high quality instruction booklets. The front covers of these are like this plastic material. You can just do a quick run through as well, showing you what the inside pages look like. It's kind of a format that I developed for ease of building. It also just looks good. Anyway, we'll get right into it. Start building this kit for you guys. We pour out all of our parts. Step 1. So the Carpathia, it was not as luxurious as some other ocean liners like the Lusitania, for example, but it was very popular with tourists and immigrants because it was a comfortable ship. It wasn't luxurious, but it was comfortable. Kind of ironically, the Lusitania was very luxurious, but there's accounts of the engine back, in the stern of the ship where the powerful engines were. There were vibrations that were extremely severe. And it made like the berthing compartments back there almost unlivable, which is kind of an interesting fact. So when I'm designing these kits, I really do try to pay attention to enjoyment for building. It's quite difficult to design a kit. It's not as straightforward as you might imagine. Take the Carpathia, for example. Does it look like the Carpathia? Does it go together well? Is it enjoyable to build? Does it hold together? It's not fun at all if you build a model that's like super loose and doesn't stay together. And then you also have to make it so that it's like the colors are available, because when I'm sourcing these Lego bricks, every single piece doesn't come in every single color. So you kind of have to use what's available and use them to kind of represent the ship as best as you can. It's honestly interesting building this because I haven't built it in a very long time. When I'm designing these kits, I end up building them like 400 times. Not 400, that's an exaggeration. Like, I'll build each kit probably around 5 or 6 times, which might not sound like a lot, but it does kind of get repetitive. It's kind of fun to be able to take a break and then build one of these models after months. I mean, this came out like 6 months ago, so I've had to design quite a few kits since this one. So I like to make kits you can't find anywhere else. I'm not sure if there's a Carpathia available on the internet in like a building kit form. It's cool to have something unique that you can't find anywhere else. Right now, what we're doing is we're putting together the side of the ship. What's kind of fun about Histobrick models, and when I have to design the instructions for these, depending on how the parts interlock, you have to build specific parts of the ship first. So some of the ships you might have to start with the lower hull, the dark red portion. And in the case of the Carpathia, what we're building right now, you have to start kind of with the side of the ship. So during the summer, the RMS Carpathia operated between New York City and Liverpool, and in the winter it operated between New York City and the Mediterranean basin. Just gotta make sure this step is complete. All right, so we're starting to get somewhere. This is what it's looking like at the moment. Kind of see some of the inner guts of the ship, and then what is starting to be either the starboard or port side of the ship. So one thing to note, if you're ever building one of our kits and you seem to have a missing part, it happens sometimes. I mentioned before we have to hand sort each of these kits, and unfortunately sometimes we mess up. We're only human, and for instance, like sorting a Titanic kit, we can be sorting like 40,000 individual little pieces by hand. It's almost kind of a miracle that only like one piece is missing, but of course it's a huge problem because it interrupts your building experience, which really sucks, but it's really all we can do when we're sorting by hand. But anyway, if you're missing pieces, we replace them free of charge. You just let us know what you need and we'll send out a package, usually the next business day. Flip. All right, what are we building here? Looks like we're building some of the inner parts of the ship, a piece of the mast, or at least what it's gonna be anchored to. Put that in there. Oh, did I put that on wrong? You always gotta be aware of where you're putting stuff. You don't wanna mess it up. I almost messed it up. It's not, oh, see, I messed it up twice. Even I, the designer, am not immune to putting the wrong thing in the wrong place. So we've completed this sub-assembly. This is what it looks like right there. And now we're moving on to what appears to be the bow of the ship. So of course, the main thing the RMS Carpathia is famous for is responding to the RMS Titanic disaster. The RMS Carpathia was en route from New York to, I gotta check the name. I'm gonna pronounce it wrong, but Fiume, Austria-Hungary, which is now modern day Croatia. And it received a distress call in the middle of the night from the Titanic. And after some deliberation amongst the crew as to whether it was actually an urgent distress signal that had been sent from the Titanic, they decided to wake up the captain of the ship, Roston, who was asleep at the time. And he was initially pretty pissed off that he was awakened by his crew until he realized the dire situation the Titanic was in. And he ordered the men in the engine room to basically cook up the engines full steam ahead for the Titanic's last known position. So we put that guy aside. Then I think we need some of the printed parts. Yes, we do. So this is our first little printed part right here. Little Carpathia print for the bow. So now we're attaching these two sub-assemblies right here together. Here it is, the bow of the Carpathia. All right, so the next step is to attach the bow to this assembly we had created earlier. Clicks in right there. This is the Carpathia so far. A little close-up of that. So back to the Titanic story. The Carpathia was around 67 miles away from the Titanic at the time it received the distress call. It made all haste for the Titanic, and they arrived 3.5 hours later. And so by that time, the Titanic had actually sunk, and they proceeded with picking up survivors from Titanic's lifeboats. So since this video is mostly just about the Carpathia, I'm not gonna go too into depth on the Titanic part of its story, but basically it picked up the survivors from the Titanic disaster and then brought them back to New York City and dropped them off. All right, so now we're starting on the stern of the ship. For those who don't know, the stern is the back. The bow is the front, and the stern is the back. So the Carpathia has been a pretty popular kit of ours. It always has been, actually. This is the third version of the Carpathia that Histobrick has done. We made one in 2020, the year that we first started. Then we made another in 2021. And then 2 years later, this year, we made a third version. And the reason why we do that is because personally, my designing skills have gotten so much better. I design about one model a month at this rate. I personally like putting in the effort to redesign the ship, make it more accurate, make it more fun to build. So now the time has come to attach the stern to the rest of our model. There we are. We have like a nice little facade of the Carpathia, halfway done at this point. So after the whole Titanic situation, the Carpathia continued its transatlantic duties, ferrying passengers across the Atlantic, and it was requisitioned during World War I as a troop transport. It transported American and Canadian soldiers to Europe. So now we're attaching these two sides of the Carpathia together, just like that, very smooth. All right, continuing the build, getting closer to the end of the building process for this model. It's kind of building the underside of the ship. Adds a lot of strength and rigidity to the model, putting these big plates on there. The beauty about Lego is that it can totally just shatter and then you just rebuild it. Obviously that's not what you want to happen, but it's nice that you have the option. All right, now we're putting together a little upper portion of the Carpathia's hull, and time to connect that. Slides right into here. Everything just pushes into place, and voila. So basically, this side of the hull is complete. So the Carpathia was doing its duties of ferrying troops back and forth to and from Europe. And on July 15th, I believe, yes, July 15th, 1918, it got hit by a torpedo and sank. And it was sunk by U-55, a German submarine, and 5 people lost their lives during the sinking. Now it's time to attach this other side of the hull. So we can do that right here. This kind of fits in there. Give it a little shimmy. There it is. So that, unfortunately, was the end of Carpathia. It was sunk during World War I, but it had a pretty storied history. It saved the passengers aboard Titanic, and then it was a troop ship during World War I, in addition to just being a regular passenger ship during peacetime. Its story lives on mostly thanks to its prominent role in the Titanic disaster as the ship that basically rescued all of the passengers who had survived. Now I'm putting together the funnel. I did include the option of 2 different funnel colors in this model because the funnel colors of the Cunard line are basically kind of in between a dark red and a dark orange, at least a dark red and dark Lego orange. So I included both options. You can choose either one. Attach the funnel. So now we're attaching the masts. I've built them, so we're just gonna put them on here. A little bit of a smaller one in the back. There she is with the masts, and you can just adjust those so that they're all kind of the same angle. So that's it. The last thing I forgot somewhere along the way to put the rudder in. I'm just gonna add that, and there it is. The Histobrick RMS Carpathia. If you'd like to view this kit more, you can do so on our website, histobrick.com. It's available for purchase there along with all of our other custom Lego kits. Right now we just have a lot of maritime history related things. We have some new products, a new product line coming out by Christmas this year, so be sure to subscribe to our email list to be notified of that. If you love history, you're gonna love what we're coming out with, so thanks for watching.